Oi, pessoal, tudo bem com vocês? Eu sou a Amanda Brandão e quero saber, você já ouviu falar no filme Good Boy? A gente aqui do Looke conversou com o diretor Viljar Bøe e ele contou um pouco mais de detalhes sobre o final do filme, que é surpreendente, e o que ele espera que as pessoas sintam com esse filme, que está sendo aí considerado um dos mais perturbadores do ano. Confere a entrevista.
I want to say congratulations for your work in Good Boy because I was every time like curious to know what what is going to happen because my God, is this the one of the most different movies I've ever watched in my whole life. Seriously. And
Thank you so much.
I wanted to know, where did the original idea come from? What inspired this story? Because I imagine it doesn't come naturally to you, right?
I'm a little embarrassed to say that it might have come a little naturally to me. I actually, the visual of person in a dog costume being owned by another person, I've had for several years. And then I didn't have a story for it. I just had that image. And then I started to think about like what type of person would own a person in a dog costume. And then I thought, that it couldn't be a working class person who worked the 9 to 5. It had to be somebody who had a lot of time, they had a lot of resources to, isolate themselves and have space for, this type of thing. And then he came with the idea that it should be a person who was a millionaire or had a lot of wealth. And then we got inspired a little bit by Christian Grey, because he is kind of this, dominant character who, in BDSM, who is kind of unsympathetic in the beginning, and that the film and the book tries to sympathize. And then in this, we try to do something similar, where we kind of perhaps inverse that type of character arc with our Christian. It's the reason why Christian is named Christian from.
Yes.
It's a little nod to 50 Shades.
And what do you hope people feel about Good Boy? Because as I said, I was very curious and I got into this story, So I want to know, what do you want to?
I think I want people to feel different emotions, similar to, the main character, Sigrid. She is kind of supposed to be the audience. So whatever she's feeling and the information she gets is the same as the audience. So, you're supposed to feel different things at different times about, especially, about the concept, about the person in dog costume. And I heard, some people have said that the film is funny, and then some people think it's just, a sick movie. People say, they feel sick watching the film. Some people say, it's a funny and exciting film. So I think it was a film that I want a wide array of emotions from the audience, so that people can discuss. Some people will like it. There's, some people who might be very turned off by it, but I guess that's that's how it is when you make perhaps a little bit of a specific film, I guess you could say.
And I saw that originally you thought about it being a romance. So how did it turn into one of the most disturbing films of the year? Romance and disturbing.
Yeah, I think, at first, with this type of concept, there's so many ways you could go. And at first, I was just trying to, for me, it was at least important to have the movie be grounded. But I thought it would be funny to see what if you just try to do like a straight up romantic comedy with this type of concept. And then while writing and going through the story, it just naturally, a shift happened. As you see in the film, that shift kind of naturally just unfolded while writing and developing the script. So it was just, it felt like the film just had to be this specific way. At least there's a lot of ways to go with the story, but for me, that was the most natural way to go with, for me at least.
And you said that it's a romantic thriller. So
Yeah.
can you explain what is a romantic thriller and why do you classify Good Boy like that? I claim that, and in the beginning is like kind of romance, right? So
Yeah.
I want to hear from you.
Yeah, I think, for me, it's obviously a thriller, right? The film is, in the end, a psychological thriller. But I think for us, it was important that the romance part was genuine and felt, real. And it's hard to market the film, right? You can't because if it was up to me, I would perhaps just market it as a romantic comedy and then just see the people's reactions. But you can't do that. I think a lot of people would be angry, but it would be funny to see people's reactions. But I while watching the film, I think people have a certain expectation of the film, and that is supposed to be a thriller, which it is. And then I thought, while watching the film, I was hoping the audience perhaps, kind of were forgetting that, kind of was going to forget that it was going to be a thriller, and rather just, oh, this is a romantic comedy, which with this weird dog, with undertones of something creepy is going to happen. Because, as we all know, something has to happen that, is out of the ordinary with this kind of thing. And so, yeah, it was important that that the romantic part was felt like a romantic film in a way.
And what do you think it's being considered one of the most best horror movie of the year? For you, what is different about Good Boy?
I'm not sure why it would be considered that, that's for other people to say. But yeah, I do think it's, it was a low budget independent production. The film kind of came about. We didn't really have any studio or anybody saying like, this is how the film should be and this is how the film should be. So we didn't have a big budget, but we thought, we did have independence, so it meant that we could do whatever we wanted. So for us and for the actors, the producers, everybody who worked on the film, it was important to make a film that perhaps a big studio or a film studio wouldn't dare to make. Like what kind of looking at the landscape and see where is there a gap, or where is that what's kind of missing that we could kind of fill with our film. And yeah, so it was just to see like how crazy and how out there could we get with the concept. And I think perhaps that is what is gravitating people toward the film. It's something new, I guess.
And I want to talk about the dog. Why did you choose a dog? Why not another animal? There is a reason for choosing a dog.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did have the discussions about that, why not a cat or something like that. But I think with dogs, we call them, it's at least in Norway, man's best friend, right?
Yes,
that's the dog.
Yes.
Exactly, yeah. And then, so we have a very close relationship to our dogs, and we always, every owner thinks that their dog loves them, which is probably true. But dogs, in a way, don't really have a choice in their relationship with their owner in a way. Compared to like a cat, I think there's a lot more
Added.
Yeah, cats can do what we actually have a cat here. I'm more of a cat person, in fact. But a dog, there's not more things that are expected of a dog. And if they do something, they always consider, they always love their owner. But if they were to do something that the owner doesn't like, they often get them disciplined more often than other animals. So I think, they don't have a way to like the way humans can express consent or with language and stuff like that. Well, dogs and other animals are kind of more limited in that way. So it's harder for them to express, they're not really happy, or if they're happy, they have much more limited way of communicating. So I think if you were to put a human in that kind of situation, what would then happen? Because, it's hard to read a dog in the same way as a human with, expressions and stuff. That's why, like, it's interesting having a person with this mask, because, Christian is constantly saying, yeah, he wants to be a dog, but we can't really tell what the dog is really feeling, because, it's just a mask, right? You just have to take Christian's word for it, in a way.
Have you ever studied furry culture? Did you already know this? And there is anything that you learned from this that you put into the film?
I was very much aware of furry culture, but I try not to do too much research. Like, for me, in Good Boy, the situation is very specific, right? It's not necessarily furry, it's perhaps more similar to puppy play, but still that it's kind of supposed to be. I didn't want people to think that this is going to be like this specific representation, or like this is a representation of furries or people that do puppy play. It's like a very specific situation that, Christian has kind of made up. But of course, you get inspired, especially, furries are getting more and more popular. So I think, obviously that has had, it's probably one of the main things that has inspired this thing, but not anything that I specifically put into Good Boy, except maybe, the fact that puppy play and furries are a real thing. It made it easier for Sigrid, the main character, to kind of accept this whole dog thing.
And I have two last questions here. I want to know about the ending. The ending is very surprising and no one expects it. So how would you define the ending to make people watch it, but of course without spoilers?
I think, Sigrid says early in the film, when going to the cabin, what's the it just might spoil a little bit. It's she says when she's going on the cabin trip, what's the worst that could happen? And for me, it's trying to explore what is the worst that could happen, and also have an ending that kind of can live on, where it's up for the like. Yeah, I'm not saying there will be a sequel. I'm not saying there won't be, but I'm saying, like, I want the film to work in its contained way, but also the ending is supposed to be a way to end the film, but also for the audience, a new chapter for them to imagine, like, what this new situation will look like for the next 5, 10, 20 years, right, for these people. So I think that, for me, that's it's supposed to be like a conversation starter for the audience.
I was thinking about a part 2 of this movie.
Yeah.
And if you can compare Good Boy to a classic horror film, what would it be?
Oh, that's hard. Classic horror, so that's going to be hard for me. I guess I'm not sure if this counts as a horror film. Mikael Haneke's Funny Games was a big inspiration for me for this film, in the way that film is kind of, it doesn't hold back, and it kind of, I guess you could say, disregards the audience in a way where it does, certain films, are kind of, they are scary and stuff like that, but in the end, it's kind of like, everything is going to be okay. But with Funny Games, perhaps with Good Boy, it doesn't end that way. It doesn't maybe give that impression that not all the time, not every time, everything is going to be okay. Which is, I think, is one of the scariest things. To me, at least. And I think, for me, Funny Games is one of the scariest films in many. It's not the classic jump at you, but it's for me, it's a very, and I want to, in a way,
it's a good.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, and again, congratulations for your work there. I was very, very into the movie, and I want to know what was gonna happen. and I was like searching about the furries. I was like, when you saw a movie and you like just want to know about the movie.
Yeah.
That's what I felt.
That's good to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here. Bye.
Bye bye.